Hello everyone, it's Erichs and today what I'm doing is a reaction video. It's part 2 of my reaction to Family Curse, Graves at the Von Erichs. So hope you like it. If you did, guys, give thumbs up, hit the like button, turn notifications, let's get started.
What, Chris, you gonna kill yourself? You can't do that. You got a lot to live for. Chris said, oh, I don't know. And Kevin said, come on, man, promise me you don't want to do this. Promise me you won't go out this way. You can't do that after how Michael went out. And he said, okay, I promise I won't do anything. And Kevin said, I went down the hill, went back to the house, and Dad was up, and I went up to Dad, and I said, does Chris often write suicide notes? And Fritz said, you better get back up there. And he said, when I got up there, he must have just shot himself because he said, I heard gurgling, and I ran up to him. I said, oh, God, Chris, what did you do? And he said, I put my hand under his head to lift him up, and my thumb went in the hole in the back of his head, and Chris died. So that was the David died in 84, Michael died in 87, Chris died in 91, and then, of course, Carrie, the one that I knew the most from being a WWE fan, or WWF when I was a kid, Kerry Von Erich. We knew him as the Texas Tornado, but he was plagued by drugs and alcohol. He was, after David passed away, he challenged Ric Flair for the title, won the title, and was a hero. And because of his fame, they said he started hanging out with like a rock star type lifestyle, hanging out with famous people, and they said you could tell it wasn't anything spoken, but you could see that he was using drugs. And he got into a really bad motorcycle accident and lost part of his leg, part of his foot, from basically like the shin down. And they said that this was something that was sworn. Anybody that knew the Atkinson family, Von Erichs, that for like 5 years, everybody was sworn to secrecy that this could not get out, that he had this. So he would wrestle with a prosthetic. They said actually when that first happened, one of the guys that went to visit him said it looked like an alligator had chewed on his leg. So even though he told people he never had it amputated, he did. And he got addicted to painkillers during this time, and he also ended up getting arrested multiple times, and on the last time, he was on probation already and was afraid that this was going to send him to prison. So apparently he asked his wife to agree to take him back when he got out of jail, and if so, he would go turn himself in and serve his time, and she said she couldn't promise that. So he got in his Jeep, drove out to visit his father, right here, Fritz Von Erich. Went out to visit his father, and his dad was out laying a driveway with cement. Kevin called him and said, Dad, I need to talk to you. And Fritz said, I don't have time to talk, and hung up on him. Kevin said, I tried calling back. I was going to tell him, hey, if Kerry comes out there, don't let him leave because he's not in a good mindset. And Kerry showed up, hugged his dad, and said, I love you, Dad, and then got back in his Jeep and took off out into the field. Fritz went inside after he finished and waited for Kerry to come back. He never came back, and then he noticed that his gun was gone. He went out to the field and found Kerry's Jeep Wrangler out there and saw one glove on the seat, and he knew what had happened. He knew that was the hand that Kerry was going to be firing the gun with. And he said he walked a few feet past some trees, and laying there with the most peaceful look on his face was Kerry Von Erich. He had shot himself in the heart. So poor Fritz Von Erich had lost 5 sons. 5 sons. You know, in the time that I hang out with my grandpa, there's something that I always hear my grandpa say almost every time I see him. He says, you never want to bury your kids. There's nothing in the world that feels worse than burying your kids. I can't imagine having to go through that 5 times. And then unfortunately, Fritz had a pretty sad ending himself. You'll see right next to Fritz and Carrie's grave is Fritz's wife and the mother of the Von Erichs, Doris. And then poor Fritz, after he and Doris eventually got a divorce after all of this, hard to believe that you could stay together through so much and then eventually separate, but they did. And Kevin said that his father ended up getting brain cancer, and one day pulled a gun out on him, and he said, I could see it wasn't my dad anymore. It was the cancer taking over, but he pulled a gun out and said, you're too afraid to die. If you were like your other brothers, you wouldn't be so afraid. And he said, Dad, it takes strength to live, not to die. And he basically said, Kevin said, I basically just ran out of the room before he could fire because I wasn't going to let cancer determine my ending. But he said he was glad when the cancer finally took Fritz's life, because he said he had been tortured throughout his life with all of this, and then the ending of just basically losing his faculties, losing his mind. That was just the end of it all. God, pretty sad. Now there are a couple of bright things to mention in this. For one, that nobody can ever take away the history that the Von Erichs brought to wrestling. Their name is synonymous with wrestling. I mean, anybody in Texas knows that name, Von Erich. But the name lives on because Carrie's daughter, Lacey Von Erich, is a wrestler. Kevin's two sons go by the Von Erich brothers. So there are Von Erichs out there wrestling, and the legacy has been purchased by all the films and everything. The whole history of it was purchased, so those can still be seen pretty much as long as WWE is still around. They will have that in their archives. Sad they couldn't all be buried together. Very sad. It's almost like you feel like there should be like a family plot with a statue of them all or something like that, but at least they're all kind of together. Rest in peace. In a better place. Then I just noticed this. I'd really like to include this. I hadn't heard about this, but right next to David Von Erich is his little baby daughter, Natasha, baby girl of David and Candy Atkinson. All right, my friends, we're gonna call it a day. I want to thank Susan Osborne and Nancy.
Wow, that was sad. But, alright guys, thanks so much for watching. If you guys like this video, give this video a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, turn notifications, and leave a comment. Subscribe to your channel for my safety, and yeah. Guys, again, we're almost close to 520 subscribers. 520 subscribers. That's a lot. Very much go. I really appreciate it. Again, this video was supposed to go reach 1,000 subscribers. 4,000 people watching. It's very much go. I really appreciate it. Because again, these videos are possible for you guys. I love you guys so much for all your support. Like I always say, I always mean. And yeah. Alright guys, there you go. Thank you so much for watching. Please like this video, leave a comment, subscribe for more. And I'll catch you guys for tomorrow for another video. Alright guys, there you go. Goodbye. Have a good day or night.